Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Bruchim Habayim. We're continuing in Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua, and it's good to know that we are on schedule. We are up to the correct place. Okay, we're finishing up Siman Ayin Dalid Sif Aleph. We're finishing up Sif Aleph. The Rama said that not only if your heart could see your own Ervah is it a problem, but also if your heart could see Ervah's Chavera, it's a problem. What does that mean? Dahainu she'en hefsek bein liboy le'ervah's Chavera. There's no interposition between your heart and the Ervah of your friend. Kagon sheshneim shoichvim arumim. For example, they're both lying down unclothed, umiskasim b'talis echad, and they're covered in one talis. And they're far from each other. So basically, two people lying under a blanket, unclothed, and they're facing each other. The person himself, Ruvain, has a hefsek between his heart and his erva. His heart is still directly opposite the erva of his friend. Or for example, they're both in the water. Why? He has a garment under his heart. But he sees the erva of his friend that's not covered. So I don't understand this but his eyes see the erva of his friend. Isn't that a bigger problem? So Mishna Berura says, no, asar af she'ein of chutz l'mayim. Even though your eyes are out of the water, but your heart that's in the water could see the erva of your friend. So there are a few stipulations that are needed. You cannot be able to see someone else's erva. Your heart cannot see your erva. Your heart cannot see someone else's erva. And your erva cannot be uncovered. Seeing your own erva is the iraisa. Your erva being uncovered is the iraisa. Your heart seeing your erva is the rabbanan. Sif Beis. Okay. Haroichetz araim b'mayim tzelulim. One who is bathing, undressed in clear water. V'roitz alishtais, and he wants to drink. I don't know if he wants to drink the water he's bathing in, but he wants to drink. He wants to have a peach snapple. Yichase bebeged mimata lelibai. So, what are the different issues? Could he see his own erva? I mean, the water is clear. He could see his own erva, even though we just saw in the Mishna Berura, maybe it's not considered seeing his erva because his erva is covered. Is his erva uncovered? I don't know. Is water considered a covering? So these are different issues we have to deal with. So the first thing is yichasa bebeged mimata liba. He should cover with the garment under his heart, kedei shelo yehi liba roya es ha'erva kishay yivarech, so that his heart is not seeing the erva when he's making a bracha. Okay, so he puts a beged under his heart so that his heart doesn't see the erva. V'davka beveged, only in a garment. Avol biyadayim lo have a kisai. With his hands, it's not considered a kisai. Hagav u'adin mechasa roishay biyadav lo mikri kisai haraish. The same thing would be if he's covering his head with his hands. It's not considered a kisai roish. So here we have encountered two dinim. A hand is not considered a cover to get around the issue of liboy rois erva, and a hand is not considered a yarmulke. In other words, if your yarmulke blows off and you want to make a bracha, you can't put your hand on your head. Your hand is not considered a cover. V'ayin lekaman siman sadi aleph. Okay, let's see the Mishna Berura. Yichasa bebeged. You cover your heart with a garment. Perush dehamayim afal pi shem sulim. The water, even though it's clear, mikal makoy mehani kisuyan le'inyan shelo yehe aser machmas giloy erva. Wow. We learned before that there's an issue that your erva cannot be uncovered. If your erva is in water, it's considered as if your erva is covered. Now, in that case, if my erva is covered, what about the fact that I could see the erva? Provided that you stick your head out of the water, and you're not looking at the erva, since the water is clear and you'll be able to see it. So there are three issues you got to deal with. Number one, giloy erva, being in the water takes care of that. Number two, looking at the erva, stick your head out of the water and don't look. But what about liboy royas erva? Why? Kivan shahalev im ha'erva b'mayim. I don't understand this b'chlal. If the way you get around seeing your erva is sticking your head out of the water, then stick your heart out of the water also.
He's not standing. He's floating there.
He's floating. So I have a good idea, pal. Stand. I mean, it's that's not a very complicated procedure.
Ma'im she'em b'hem Seif.
Ma'im she'em b'hem Seif.
Deep.
So here's what I just maybe you could say. That when it comes to seeing the erva, don't look. But you can't tell your heart not to look. What are you going to say? Heart, close your eyes. You see, when it comes to looking, I'll look up. But even if your let's say your waist is above the water, in other words, let's say the water goes up to your waist, it's still libay rois erva because your heart is looking. You only have an eitzah of not looking with eyes. Maybe you don't have an eitzah of not looking with a lave. I'm not sure. Al-Kain says, you have to put a garment below your heart, so that there's a separation between your heart and erva. Likewise, if you interpose with a beged on your heart, gam kein mahani, the chanal b'sif aleph. Now, I think you have to say what I'm saying, that there's no putting your heart out of the water is not going to help. Sticking your head out, you have the ability of v'lo yistakel be'erva. But with a heart, maybe you don't have that ability. Okay? Write it down, someone. Okay, write down the chiddush. Sif katan ches, kisha yivarech, v'u'adin sheichas haroisha, you also have to cover your head. Shlo yivarech b'giloy haroish. Aval b'yadayim, I'm surprised that they haven't invented yet. You have the kosher toothbrush and the kosher brush and the kosher lamp. They should have like the kosher gartel, for if you're in the water, or the kosher heart covering, or the kosher head covering. You get good business ideas here also. Okay. Aval b'yadayim, but hands, bein mechasa ali, by whether you put your hand on your heart, or bein li by le'erva, im loisha mechabek bizroyosav, unless you hug with your arms. We're going to see in Sif Gimel that you could be mechabek gufa, meaning to go like this, it doesn't work. But to go like this, that works. Even though ein guf mechase guf, but it sounds like the bear hug, the personal self bear hug, that works. Why does that work? The Mishna Berura says, "Ein darkon shel bnei adam lechabek atzman kach." People don't usually do that. Yeah, that's true. People usually don't hug themselves, so in other words, a person would put their hand on their head. So therefore, ein guf mechasa guf, or their hand on their body, but not to hug oneself. Fine, that would work. The Mishna Berura continues. Someone else's hand, that would be permitted. Fine. on the head is not called a kisei aguf. Achurim, if the water was okay, the Mechaber continues. So now you're getting around Giloi Ervah. You're getting around Einoi Roya Ervah. But what about Liboi Roya Ervah? Now that also you took care of. Your heart can't see the Ervah. Motor likrois v'hu b'soichan v'hu shalai hey reichan rat. Depends why the water is not clear. If the water is dirty, then and it smells bad, you can't say dvarim shebekdusha. V'im ein liboi b'toich hamayim rak lamala min hamayim. Oh, so I was not right. If your heart is not in the water but above the water, af b'tzulim shari, then it's permitted. So that refutes what I said, right? In other words, here the Ramah says clearly that another way to get around Libay Roya Eso Erva is to have the heart above the water. The heart is always looking. Apparently that's not correct. The heart is not always looking.
Different rishus.
What?
Different rishus.
It's a different rishus. But it's a rishus that it could see because the water is clear.
But your head can't be looking.
The what?
No, because the eyes could see, so the eyes can't be looking that direction. But the heart that can't see is enough to be in different rishus.
Saying the heart doesn't really see. It's only that's how we envision it. As if it is. So since it's in a different rishus, it works. Okay. Sounds good. By the way, is the Ramah arguing? In other words, l'chayr or not, but I'm just pointing out that the Mechaber didn't say this, right? The Mechaber said, Yichasa b'begim mata libay. Or the Mishna Berura said, on your heart. But the Mechaber never said this Eitzah. This is the Ramah adding. By the way, where did the Ramah get it from? He made it up. Das Atzmai. This is a Chiddush of the Ramah. So Pashtus said he's not arguing on the Mechaber, but I'm not sure. By the way, thank you very much. The Pri Chadash argues on the Ramah. The Pri Chadash says that it doesn't help. Pri Chadash says it does not help to stick the lave out of the erva. So I would humbly read I would say, of course, Adam Machzik B'diburai, I would say we read the Mechaber correctly. The Mechaber holds that this doesn't work. And in fact, many Achronim hold them. In other words, the Pri Chadash holds this doesn't work. Why didn't the Mechaber say it? Because the Mechaber doesn't hold of it. The Ramah?
When by a house and it's by a window,
yeah.
Where does his head and his lave out of the window, right? So we said there's a separate issue.
Oh, did you have to stick your lave out of the window also?
No, we said there was a separate issue there of the Hughes Arum.
Right.
We said Ervah.
Right.
Ervah.
Right.
It sounds like it doesn't sound like it's an issue of the lave.
Okay, good. Lefika cho'imevayis aram v'hoitzi roish chosachalon shleir avasai. Afapi he did. Afapi shechotzatz bebeged al libay hareza lo yikra kim shavasa magula.
That's a separate issue.
No. I'm saying you're right. There, he said the way you get around libay rosa erva is you cover the lave, right? So you're saying, what if another way would be to stick your lave out of the window? Again, the problem is if you stick your head out of the window and your lave out of the window, in no time your raglayim will be out of the window on the floor like Humpty Dumpty. So, I'm not sure how practical that is. Okay, but I'm very excited. Look in the Ber Hetiv. Ber Hetiv says on Zion that if it helps to stick your lave out of the water, ayin Ber Hetiv, ayin pri chadash shecholik b'zeh, v'savar shamayim sulam v'libay roya aser. Look in the Ber Hetev. Maybe he's saying what Rabbi Yeager said. Mashma de mistaka be'erva aser. You have to stick your head out of the water. Lefizet tzarich loymar dechmiru yoiser b'reiyas einayim mi b'reiyas halev. Deveinayim afilu him l'malam min hamayim im mistaka be'erva aser l'krois av b'lev im hu l'malam min hamayim afal pi shamayim slum v'alev royas ha'erva kiven shumalam min hamayim v'hamayim asikim mutter l'krois. Okay, that's the sort of the reason why we thought it doesn't help to have the lave out of the water is the Ber Hetev's question. Why is it that if your eye is seeing the erva in the water, it's a problem, but if your heart is seeing the erva in the water, it's not a problem? So he says it must be we're more machmer by seeing. So Rabbi Yeager says because the heart doesn't really see, it's just in the same rishus. Again, Pri Chadash says it does not work. What does the Mechaber hold? I think the Mechaber holds it doesn't work. Why doesn't the Ramah say V'yesh Oimrim? Because the Mechaber didn't say explicitly. But, Yesh Lada and what the Shita and the Mechaber is. Let's finish this up. Siv Katan Yud, Loi Mikri. Siv Katan Yud Aleph. Achurim, v'imheim slulim, if the water is clear, oichram baraglav, you could dirty with your feet. V'davka b'karka shayich zeh. It's only if you're bathing in something that has ground, avaloi b'kali, but not if it's you're bathing in a bathtub, she'im by offer v'tit, where there's no dust and there's no dirt. Even if you're bathing in a barrel, there's maybe sediment that you could kick up. The water is considered a hefsek between your heart and the erva. The Shari Tshuva says that the Birkei Yosef sides with the Ramah against the Pri Chadash. In other words, the water is a hefsek between your heart and the erva. But your heart could see the erva. That's what we ask. Vizar gamkin she'enov yu chutz l'mayim v'leistag be'erva chanal to l'odif me erva ba'ashosh. It's not better than erva in a glass. Hamavor b'simna ayin hey sif hey da'aser. Okay, Rabbi said, let's hold it over here. See everybody tomorrow.
Recording stop.
Call to.